podcast day comes around very quick these days.
Super quick.
Unbelievably quick.
Good morning, everyone.
How's it, everyone?
Hey, guys.
The energy level, we sat down and had a coffee and it sapped our energy, and now it's coming back.
Yep. That's how we roll.
Yeah, we
good.
made a commitment that we have to have the energy levels up for the podcast, so a notch up from last year, which I've managed to do, but I'm a little bit worried about the pilot guy over there.
Listen, one thing that is up is the ragging ability this morning.
Yeah.
We'll talk in a few months' time when you're dealing with...
Pilot Parrock has unofficially become the quality control officer of the podcast.
Jeez, and has he done a job?
Yep.
Huh?
Setting the standards high, eh?
Because I don't like the sound. The lighting's all messed up.
This new iPhone 12 Pro Max just doesn't do the job.
We're here.
Take it easy, man. Take it easy.
We got some news, actually. Bryan and AviaDev, our friend from the land of the crown, John Howell, we're going to be hosting a webinar together. And it's basically there to look at the LinkedIn platform and help increase your power on the platform, I suppose. It's actually called, drumroll please, Ryan.
Crickets.
Harnessing the power of LinkedIn. And as I said, with our close friend John Howell, the webinar will be split into two parts, approximately 2 weeks apart. And it's designed for aviation professionals looking for a practical introduction to the power of the LinkedIn platform. Very excited about this, guys.
Yeah.
The session will cover how to make your personal profile stand out, how to be in the top 5% of profiles on LinkedIn, and give you the chance to ask questions as well. We're going to cover topics: the importance of your digital persona and digital footprint, how to create a profile that will boost your personal brand, how to acquire more connections and expand your reach. You need that, Ryan. How to audit your network, how to effectively source contacts, how to leverage the search functionality on LinkedIn, and which premium subscription to use to build your network quickly.
That's a lot.
A lot of
That is
things.
a hell of a
It's
lot.
going to be there's going to be a lot of information over a nice proper webinar platform, and it's designed for the guys out there, the aviators that are looking to improve their reach on LinkedIn.
I think I'm excited about it because we've pushed LinkedIn last year. We were pushing it, and quite a few people approached us, and we gave them the training we were able to get. And I think that was we know it was based.
And it was limited.
It was very limited.
Our knowledge of the platform is limited, and it's basically come through trial and error. We had the podcast to promote. So every week, it was quite nice having the podcast to promote because it gave us a reference point. If we did one thing one week and we didn't do it the next week, you could actually see the result. John, however, kind of knows what he's doing in this regard.
I'm going to write that up as a quality
What?
control issue.
What?
You can't have beeping in the middle of the show.
I didn't hear anything.
What? I didn't hear a thing. Not one of our listeners.
Back to the point.
Basically, he knows what he's doing, John. And he actually does this as part of his AviaDev platform as well. Just those of you that don't know John, obviously the host of the AviaDev Inside Africa podcast. He also he hosts all these African conferences and a very well connected guy in the aviation industry. He's helped us a lot, gave us a lot of support, and he's now offered his services to us, for any of our ex-colleagues and that want to join in on this webinar. He's offered it for free. It's only for pilots and I suppose cabin crew and that as well. I think pilots and cabin crew, so all crew. And it's normally you pay for things like this. Of course, this one is done purely, as a bit of a gesture, I think. So it's a really nice.
It's a massive gesture.
It's a massive gesture because it's a lot of time that goes into it. There's
Yeah.
planning involved and all sorts. So
I was having a look at another one before we connected with John on this, and they're wanting 12,500 rand for the training.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
mate.
Like,
it's nuts.
I'm not so sure that they're going to provide anything more than John is going to give us, because
No.
we've seen the how he's going to present it and the stuff that's covered in it. It's phenomenal what he's put together.
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of information.
Well, there's two great things happening here. First of all, the collaboration between our two platforms, which is awesome. Hope to see more of that going forward. But also, in a time now where guys, particularly pilots, are still trying to find their feet in upskilling or transferring their skills, or not really in a position to pay so much money for these sorts of courses or
Let's
learning
face it. I
platforms.
mean,
give
yeah.
the guys a boost and push them in a direction where they can at least make use of this and hopefully get some benefit out of it.
Well, you will get a benefit out of it. And Ryan, it's not. We pushed it last year, and I think a lot of people looked at us like, why are you wasting your time? If you don't know what you're doing on the platform, you are wasting your time because you're just scrolling through a whole bunch of things that you don't want to see. So if you want to utilize your time properly on social media, and of course this is purely for LinkedIn, then you need a proper profile. You need to attract the right people. You need to build the correct relationships. And all of that, it kind of stems from, the basics of setting up a good profile and then utilizing all the little tips and tricks along the way. And you need someone that's either been there and done it, and someone that's looked at it sort of proactively. And don't forget, these algorithms and that these platforms have, they change all the time, Brett. It's not, plan the plan for 2018. It's different now.
And
Yeah.
you should be making max use of that sort of platform, because we spoke about it the other day. Let's face it, the days of typing up a good old-fashioned CV,
Oh man,
Yeah, it's gone.
that's backwards.
Doesn't exist.
I
It doesn't
still-
happen anymore, man.
I still have guys giving me CVs to hand to any of the airline guys that I see around. I say, "Oh, you're crazy! What's the reach of that CV? If it doesn't come out of my flight bag in the first place to actually give to someone, let's say I can possibly give it to 3, 4, 5
Yeah.
people. On LinkedIn, you're not necessarily handing out a CV, but potential employers can see what you're all about. They can see what you're interested in, what you're liking, how you're commenting, and all these things. And it has an impact. There's no question. I've got a huge amount of satisfaction out of building relationships this past year. The podcast was the sort of the thing that got me going, but it was the relationships that actually made us really keen to continue. And of course, John, one of those guys, and now he's offered his services, which is great. I'll leave right at the top of the show notes will be the link. So if you want to join this webinar, click the link in the show notes. And of course, we'll advertise on LinkedIn as well.
When is it?
It's going to be the 2nd of March at 6:30 p.m. So it's going to be
South
in the
African
evening,
time.
South African time. Yeah, 2nd of
For an hour
March.
and a half.
Yeah, about an hour, and then there'll be some time to ask questions and stuff like that. So, and then there'll be a little bit of a break, so the guys can sort out their profiles to that point, and then in the second session, it'll go a little bit deeper into a little bit more narrow into various areas as well.
Yeah, but there's two parts to it.
2 parts to it, yeah. So the first one will be the 2nd of March. So, yeah, look, it's in the evening. Got to dedicate a bit of time. I promise you, it's well worth it. Click on the link, or you can type it straight in your browser if you want. HTTP:// That's the two things, Ryan. And then //
I'll show you another two.
I was waiting for that.
bit.ly/Bryan A. And that's Bryan with a Y, spelled the correct way. So yeah, check it out. But just check top of the show notes. It'll be there. Click on it. Check it out. We're asking the guys to put their license number in there as well, just because we want this to be for the pilot community.
So what do we do with hosties and?
Well, they also got a license
cabin
number,
crew?
so they
Cool.
they can put it in there as well. And hopefully we can provide something. You know, one of the big things last year for us, we have all these wonderful ideas. We want to help, but like, what could we do? We could advertise. We try to help the guys that were starting new businesses and that. And I think we had a small impact. But something like this has got an impact for a much longer time. If you can start utilizing the platform properly and you start getting results from it, if someone finds a job through it, man, then it's all worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great opportunity for us to offer something nice. And much thanks to our friend John.
And this is the thing that you need to focus on. Moving forward, we know where we are. I mean, we're in such a difficult situation at the moment. Everyone is, it's our biggest challenge right now. There's uncertainty, there's worry, people are panicking. And, you know, all of those things lead to different emotions. You got anger, you got judgment. I mean, people are spending so much more time on the internet nowadays, but they're spending time wasting time.
Yeah.
And this is worthwhile time being spent.
You know, if you set these things up properly, Brett, then your profile is working for you while you're sleeping. You don't have to be on the platform 24 hours a day. Set it up properly, connect with the right people, build relationships with the right people, and then let your profile do the work. It's not a case of, okay, now you're going to be stuck on your computer or your cell phone 24 hours a day. It's actually the opposite here. You can be on the platform less if you want, but if it's set up properly, at least it's set up in the direction you want to go. I mean, I saw the other day a guy started a new business and he's promoting his new business, but his bio and everything is all based around the fact that he's an A330 captain. I mean, come on, man. You know, people don't want to know you're an A330 captain if you're running another business. They want to know you can run that other business. So it's got to be directed in the direction you want to push it. No issue having the fact that you're a 330 captain there somewhere in your list of things, but what do you want from it? Do you want
skills that A330 captain brings?
Exactly. It's the skills involved in it, but it's the skills that people are interested in when they're considering buying a product from this guy. So you got to kind of look at those skills. And what it also does, it gives you the opportunity to have a look and say, geez, what are my skills? And then you can start interacting with other people with similar skills, and it'll start to give you a few ideas along the way. So I'm keen for this. I really am. I think we're all going to be involved, and as we said, it's in collaboration with AviaDev. So keen on that.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
You know, I spoke earlier about the emotions that people are going through, and there is a lot of anger, there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of and it's all coming from being online effectively. People are stuck at home, and they have been. A lot of people still are. We've been very fortunate that we're not stuck at home. But go anywhere around the world and everyone's sitting at home. So what are they doing? They're sitting watching TV all day. They're on the internet the whole day. And they're not doing productive stuff like LinkedIn. They're not focusing on their profiles. They're not focusing on putting the right feel and attitude out there. They're looking at Twitter. They're watching CNN, Sky News. And from a stepping into who you are and stepping out of your current environment is critically important to do it now. We've been pushing this for a long time. But, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest power we have is the power of choice. Okay, and we need to focus on that as individuals. So getting rid of that worry is the first thing that you've got to do. That fear, you've got to get rid of it, and that fear is being fed through news channels, the Twitter account. People are having a go at each other. It's unbelievable. I went onto Twitter the other day and I just thought, what the hell is going on here?
Well, you say that. I mean, even I took out an Instagram account for the podcast. I'm actually going to ditch it because nothing constructive actually comes from it at all. I know some people have, they've found a bit of success on it, but, for what we do, very little. Facebook, Brett, I mean, from our side, we've got the Facebook account. Look, I mean, we've got a few connections and contacts that use that, but limited.
I opened up a Facebook account so that I could push the Bryan Air podcast.
Same.
And I'm just not getting any value. I'm getting a lot of requests from Filipino woman and Thai woman.
But that's not because of Facebook, Brett. That's all the time. Yeah, look, I've got a huge amount of value out of LinkedIn over the past, I'd say 2 years. And in particular, this last year, when there was a bit of trial and error involved, we really found our feet with it, and I've quite enjoyed it. But, now it's at a point where you don't have to be posting every day. You don't have to be, but just be in the game and use it to its full potential.
Yeah, you had a point there as well earlier when you said, people are spending far too much time on the internet being consumed by the wrong stuff. You're having your brains pumped full of fake news, the wrong news, just bad news all the time. Doesn't do you any good.
No, exactly.
No, it doesn't. And the problem is, you mentioned something, fake news. You do not know what is true and what is fake out there.
Yeah.
I mean, Bryan Air podcast could not actually exist. The three of us could not exist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that. You can make anything look good, but that's what the media is doing out there.
Well, thank goodness we do exist, Brett, because otherwise everyone would think that SA Express has been bought by some Kenyan operation.
Just imagine that.
South African journalism at its best. You know what obviously happened there? The journalist is reading, hey, Fly Sachs is buying Sachs, so let's look who Fly Sachs is. Oh, they're in Kenya. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
2 + 2, as our friend Willem says, equals 5. So, I mean, how pathetic.
But isn't that as a result, again, we're talking about people being underqualified and highly
underqualified, overpaid.
Yeah, in the wrong position. So someone who used to be a mechanic who's now writing journalists top-notch stories.
Jeez. Quality control on the sound today.
Got thrown off track there, but exactly that. It's the wrong Muppets writing the stories that just.
Well, and that's the problem, and that's what people are sitting in front of their TVs and screens saying. She's like, this is real. No, it's not real, and it doesn't matter even if it is real.
Oh.
You're always going to go on because you want to know news. We check out the aviation news, but very seldom do I ever turn on Sky News or CNN. I have no interest in watching. I can't change it, no matter what is going on in the world. Even right here, I can't change it. Collectively, we may very well be, but I'm not going to sit there and let it get to me and let it brew inside of me and ruin my day. So I just get rid of it.
Well, you're watching a TV show. That's all you're watching. You're not watching news. You're watching a TV show.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch a podcast on YouTube and increase our viewers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. QA guy, pilot guy's very upset. We only had 2,500.
Yeah, it's stalled at 2,300.
Thanks to our Indian supporters for last week on our Indian special. Had a lot of support there and a lot of DMs coming my way about that show. So very cool.
Very
and
cool.
Going to keep trying to stay in that market. It's such an interesting market. Yeah.
Phenomenal market.
Guys, on the South African news, Ryan.
Yeah, not a whole lot happening. It's been relatively quiet on the South African news front. A few interesting things. Again, that announcement that Fly Safair have basically solidified that deal to fly to Mauritius twice weekly, probably only from later on in this quarter, because we've got to wait for Mauritius to at least open up their travel restrictions.
Can I make a correction from last week?
Yeah.
So, we were going on last week, not a correction, going on last week about Safair and their on-time performance. So I got a snotty message from my baby cousin who flies for Airlink, Jared LaRue. And he said, by the way, cuz, Airlink is the most on-time airline in South Africa. So
Okay.
And is he right?
He is right, yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So there's a
Well, Airlink is this. You know that Airlink is the second largest airline in Africa, beyond Ethiopia.
Crazy.
And the fact is, if those numbers are right, Jared, that
no, he's right.
That's even more impressive.
He's right.
That's good. It's cool that there's a sort of a race for that position now between Safi and
Please don't
Airlink.
bring race into this.
But
Not
like-
race like that. I mean,
Okay.
But like Brett says, it is more impressive because of the mass of flights that they have.
yeah.
So to be on time the way that I think 98.87%.
But listen, yeah, how sort of reliable are those on-time performance numbers now when everything got thrown out of kilter with the shift in the curfew times and everything?
Just
And
don't
things had to be
argue with
adjusted.
just carry
Hey,
on.
I just want to get behind
Just
the science of all
just
this. Alright.
understand it might be fake news.
I've just read 98.
Matter.
98.87%, and now he wants to get behind the
Well, we've
science of all of
established
it.
that you can read. I'm trying to make sure we can understand. But anyway,
You know what?
Play nice, boys.
IATA. Do you see what they're doing now? They're doing.
Are they doing anything?
Well, this is brilliant for me. Besides issuing arbitrary, random, obvious statements that the whole world knows,
Yeah.
they're now creating a course to try and reskill cabin crew, pilots, like we're doing from a LinkedIn and John's doing. These now they're starting to. I don't know how it's going to be, but they're pushing out massive free training so that they can reskill themselves and move into other industries. And I thought that was.
That's pretty cool.
Jeez,
Yeah.
you guys are worth your
Well,
your
that's something
airspace.
more beneficial than
Yeah.
governments must work together to, deal with the pandemic. So yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
Ryan,
yeah.
you heavily involved in the charter market. You've got family interests in the charter market, and obviously that industry, I think, has probably taken the biggest knock and has had the least publicity.
Yeah, look, at this point in time, it's just, there's nothing happening. Towards the end of last year, it started opening up. December saw some sort of upwards trend in the travel. There was quite a few charter flights happening, and it started looking really good, and there was a lot of optimism towards 2021. Obviously, at the end of December, dear president implemented more restrictions, and it's just sort of thrown everything out of whack again now. You're not seeing much happening at all in the charter market. And until such time as our governments all can sort of sort out their deals and come to an agreement with what vaccine works and how these quarantine periods are actually going to end up sort of benefiting everyone, and there's a bit of reliability behind traveling, then we might see some of the charter market opening up again.
But until then,
then nothing's happening, and it's sad. The charter companies are literally hanging on by a thread now, and you're not only seeing it through the aviation or small aircraft charter market, but and if you've seen what's happened to Greyhound, the bus travel thing, company that's been running since 1984, bit of a it's a legacy sort of bus travel company. They've just closed their doors, and these things are all interlinked. In previous years, you would see large charter groups arrive, like these incentive travels where big corporates would send between 50 and 100 of their employees or most valued customers out to SA, and they'd organize these incentive charters, big groups to all the lodges. And it was great for the charter industry because you saw 737s and DC-9s and that sort of gauge aircraft being utilized to move aircraft around South Africa and all that. Then the bus companies would transport. So it was all interlinked. The hotels, everything.
You're right.
It's just it's a bugger up, man.
Think about the garden route without Greyhound buses going up and down the Outeniqua Pass. You talk about them being interlinked. My old man with Executive Aerospace, they had the Hawker Siddeley 748, so 44 seats in those aircraft, and they were ideal to have there were short sector flights, and then a Greyhound bus would pick up the passengers and move them across to various lodges and that. So it all kind of worked together. And now you've taken a big piece of that sort of tourism puzzle out of the picture. Those Greyhound buses were
yeah.
Oh man, they were busy, and it was a nice service. So it's very sad. Eh?
Yeah, those larger gauge travels. You might remember them from back in the day, like the YPO group. Even like the Nedbank Golf Challenge, you used to see quite a lot of that it would benefit so many sectors of the tourism industry in South Africa. So yeah, the charter market, the all the associated and ancillary services around it, the lodges and hotels, they're taking a hard hit, man. It's not great.
Yeah. I suppose all we can do is encourage people to, travel locally now and stay at those lodges. I know there's good deals going on at the moment, so have a look and try and travel and support and not necessarily support the big guys. Support the small guys, the B&Bs and the little privately owned lodges on the coast.
That's exactly it. That's what we need to do. I think people are doing it as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
I think December was quite a good thing for, it wasn't only the international, the locals. A lot of people got away. So they did provide that support, but it's once off is not sustainable. That's the problem.
We are also in that weird sort of phase of the year where it's still early February. I mean, typically, pre-pandemic times, January, February was always a quiet time of the year for tourism and travel anyway. But obviously things are just more exacerbated.
It was quiet, but you still had the forward bookings.
Yeah.
Now it's quiet with no forward bookings.
And that's basically a big chunk of the problem now is all the forward bookings that were postponed to 2021 are now being pushed to 2022 or actually just being cancelled altogether. So it's ruining the forward figures, man.
It's not good. And we're talking about the charter industry, of course, but the airlines are the numbers are down as well. So this is across the board. It's not good.
Not great.
Ryan, let's just stay with South Africa for a sec. The CIA is in big financial trouble.
Yeah, look,
Poppy Cause is still taking heat on social media.
They've taken a 98% revenue loss.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that is, you can't survive on 2%. Forget it.
Well, OTA has now been pulled into this investigation. They're looking at things. Let's see what happens. We can't afford for the CIA to fail because that will just be catastrophic.
What is going to happen if they do fail? Because they've effectively, I think they're failing in a lot of areas already because there's no performance or because the staff are, I don't even know if they're getting paid.
I think they are. I don't, again, this is all from local journalism. We're picking this stuff up, so you don't know how accurate it is. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Really.
Yeah. No, look, it's kind of one of those developing stories. You're just gonna have to keep an eye on it and see what happens, and hope for the best.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a institution that can close down.
No, it can't.
That's the thing.
It's not like them not supporting South African Airways. It's the government is going to have to step in there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Brett, African news.
Yeah, there's been some interesting things. Rwanda Air has cancelled all their flights into South Africa now.
Yeah. As
of yesterday. So I mean that's a bit of a problem without it. If they're not coming in, another airline, and we at some era we're fortunate. We've got some Nigerian clients. We've got clients from all over, but some of them are getting in and some are not getting in, and that's what the problem is. The visa office, the Home Affairs in those countries are not issuing visas, or they're taking a hell of a lot longer to issue visas. A lot of the CAAs in the countries are just shutting down the airlines and saying you ain't coming to South Africa for training. So we've got a mixed bag there. So it's once again still that we're still in a situation where everyone seems to think that South Africa don't come here, although we carrying on as, it's just I'm very surprised that they've shut us down to such an extent, without a doubt.
You talk about Rwanda as well. South African Airways and Kenya Airways, Air Mauritius and Rwanda, they're looking at actually forming an alliance. You see that?
Yeah.
Did you say South African Airways is part of that mix?
Yeah. Yeah, they're part of that alliance. And,
okay.
But, Brett, is this not to combat the ever-looming threat of Ethiopian taking over the whole African continent?
Well, I can't see another way. So you got Pravin trying to put a deal together, try to make SAA work. He's still pushing that. You got Ethiopians saying, "Come, we'll do it for you. We 100% there." but they're probably also saying, sorry guys, you're not going to get involved. And I don't think they're prepared to do that. Everybody wants their little slice of SA. So keep it, put a alliance together with another airline, block out Ethiopian. It's a logical strategy to try and keep control.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And another airline towards the southern tip of the continent has just gone bang.
Yeah, LATAM Argentina, LAN.
Yeah. But I was actually referring to now Air Namibia.
Oh, sorry.
They've been in court cases for years now.
Yeah, they're finally being liquidated now.
Yeah. Look, the president wanted them liquidated ages ago. He said years ago, get rid of them.
Yeah.
We don't need a national carrier.
650 odd employees. By the looks of it, they'll receive a salary for a year and a hell of a lot more than what the South African government managed to do.
That's
but
brilliant.
That's I kind of think those employees will take that and run because
No, for sure.
that's not a bad deal. But yeah, it is
But
sad.
at least they're getting something. I mean, it's very sad.
Yeah.
We used to have the Air Namibia guys here regularly, up until recently. But yeah, they've just been throttled because I know that their finance was handled by Treasury. So Treasury released payments when Treasury decided to release.
And look, that's what they say, the guys will get paid, but they also said the South African Airways employees would be paid, and they still haven't been paid. So, it's not a given that they're going to get salaries for 12 months. Let's see. But it is sad that that airline is gone.
Yeah,
Very
it
sad.
really is. But there's still a lot of movement. I mean, Kenyan Astral Aviation, now they've linked up with SpiceJet. Spice Express at least. So mainly obviously from a cargo perspective, but they're doing a lot of initiative, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more Africa and India agreements in place, because that is a very interesting thing. That Indian market is a huge market, and yeah, I think there's opportunity. So if we've seen the first, maybe it's not the first, but the first I've seen of Africa actually doing something closely with India as opposed to just the UAE.
Well, let's hope that happens, because the Indian market, I mean, and they're clever about this. They've just they've pushed this idea of for a next phase of growth. They've got Boeing coming into the country. They're going to be producing tail fin sections for the 737 there, and it's a win-win situation there. Boeing is trying to break into the narrow-body market there that's currently owned pretty much by Airbus. A lot of Boeing's on the wide-body there, but not so much on the narrow-body. So that's, one of Boeing's way of, getting in there. I think they build the Apache choppers at the same...
I think they do.
I think they build the Apache choppers at the same plant. So a massive thing. I mean, we spoke about, Brett, you were mentioning the Tata Sons, group, and that the next phase of growth there, it's going to be massive. I think the India's civil aviation minister, they've gone and planned on getting 100 extra regional airports ready for operation, and that'll offer another 1,000 new routes by 2025. That's crazy. So they're going to modernize those 100 airports to deal with these new modern fleets, and an extra 1,000 routes, man. Jeez. It's such an exciting market, and it's why I want to report on this, for no other reason that this is where the positivity in aviation is right now.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about something positive, you have to look to India. That's it. The rest of the world.
The expansion in India is just out of this world.
It's amazing how they are actually, making an absolute win out of this whole global collapse of things. It's crazy.
Yeah, they
look, it's hit them hard. There's no doubt about it.
Of
Everybody's
course.
been hit hard.
But they're showing a severe amount of resilience.
And it's
great.
the attitude after being hit hard, and the growth, and most importantly, what seems to be the support from their government. The government want to expand, and they want to encourage growth, and they're getting it's not like private companies are getting the airports ready. It's the government that's getting the airports ready. So you need the government support and the structures in place at the local airlines to make the most of it. So good on you, India. I mean, my aunt in the UK been sending me news all week about stuff off Sky News there, what's happening there, and I can't even report too much on this stuff. It's so up in the air, excuse the pun. But I mean, double PCR tests that you have to pay for, quarantining in hotels up to £2,000. That's like 300,000 rand.
£2,000 for
Yeah.
10 days forced quarantine for even the British citizens.
Yeah, I don't know. UK and Irish residents returning from the 33 red list countries will have to pay £1,750 to quarantine in hotels for 10 days. That's that Health Secretary Matt Hancock. He told the MPs the other day. And all passengers arriving in the UK will be required to take a PCR test, which currently costs $100 a test on days 2 and 8 after they arrive. So that's £200 to a PCR.
£200, £2,000 for a quarantine.
Doesn't exactly encourage people wanting to travel there. However,
it's the same as China.
Yeah,
China is just losing it as well. You know, you see how if there's 5 passengers who test positive on arrival, then there's a 1-week suspension for the airline. 4-week suspension if there's 10 passengers test positive. I mean, what airline is going to go and even attempt to fly a route into China with that possible risk? I mean, you can test and test, but you don't know what Chinese tests are. You don't know what level they are. Are they correct? Are they incorrect? Are they false positives? What is the But bottom line is, why go inside there?
Well, these tests have been such a dog show anyway. So I mean, you don't know what's going to happen.
A whole lot of song and pomp and dance about these vaccines that had arrived in South Africa 2 weeks ago, and now apparently they don't work.
Well, they've expired.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they just got the wrong.
I don't even want to talk about that because it's such.
Well,
nonsense.
I like progressive countries. So Cameroon, believe it or not, is progressive. Cameroon, when passengers arrive there, they have assistance with the military and the police. That if you test positive, they will put the person up in a hotel, look after them. The airline is not affected in the slightest. I understand that it's not an airline's fault, but they're looking after their arrivals, sorting them out. When they say the police and the military take them away, I'm not sure if they take them to a hotel or a prison, but nevertheless, I'm sure it's a decent enough facility. But at least they're not, doing what China's doing and saying, well, now the airline's got to pay for this.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Nuts. There's a positive story, though, coming out of Australia. Have you heard of this Project Sunrise?
Mm-mm.
Basically, what's happened now, aircraft like the A350, in particular the A350-1000, has opened up sort of an opportunity for these airlines like Air New Zealand and Qantas, I suppose even South African Airways, if they were around, because of the range that these things have got. So before, airlines like Qantas, they would have to there'll be a lot of hub traveling, Singapore, stuff like that. Whereas they are now able, in this 350-1000, to plan on sectors up to 20 hours. So they can fly Sydney, direct to London, New York, all that sort of stuff. It takes away the need for a hub. And if you're stuck on the bottom of the world there, you don't have a hub. So these new aircraft have opened up the opportunity for a hub to not necessarily be necessary. And let's hope this new technology allows them to, carry on with their new business plan that allows this sort of travel. I mean, 20-hour flights is unheard of a few years ago, and now it's becoming a reality. They were looking at the 777X. They decided on the 350-1000. Good choice there, because the 777X is a disaster right now. And Alan Joyce, their CEO, reckons it's the final frontier of travel.
Well, it's ideal. I'm glad that they've come up with it, because they can never be a hub. You're never going to hub through Sydney.
No, you're not.
I mean, where to? Antarctica? No, you're still too far away.
While we're on that topic as well, I see that there's talks again for Qantas to reconnect with South Africa fairly soon. I think it's as of July, because right now there's no direct link between us and Australia. So they're talking about reigniting route between Sydney and Joburg again, as well as Perth and Joburg. That SAA used to operate using the 787-900 as well.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So,
Yeah, Qantas, obviously, a lot of South Africans with family in that part of the world. So opening up Australia and the travel link is going to be good news for everyone. Yeah.
I'll ask you a question.
I'm not sure who your family is.
I'm not sure who your family is either. Can't take him anywhere.
Jeez.
Thank you, Siri.
Okay. This was appropriately disturbed. So I want to understand, why does AXA own a shareholding in Mumbai International Airport Private Limited?
Gupta.
I didn't say that. Where did
Just
that
putting it
come
up.
from?
Siri.
So they've just sold their shares in it. They were bringing in, 1.26 billion per annum from that ownership in that Mumbai International Airport. Why was AXA involved in that? They can't run local businesses, and then they still go and sell a revenue of 1.26 billion.
Were they running that airport?
I don't know.
Was it an AXA
I
airport?
just this very brief statement that they've sold it now and it's been sold to Parliament, and that's a. Well,
Brett, I said this week, let's not go down the government path or anything. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it neat.
It's never clean. It's never neat.
I don't want to walk that fine line of. Yeah. Guys, I think the big news for this week, we're hosting that live LinkedIn webinar. Please tune in for that. As I said, just click on the link, put your details down, and then join us on the 2nd of March at 6:30. It's going to be cool. We're going to try and add a lot of value, and I know we're going to learn a lot from it. And again, thanks to our friend John Howell. Have a lovely week ahead. Keep the blue side up, and we'll see you next week. From our side.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers for now.
Cheers.